Welcome to Tech Talk. I'm Steve Williams.
And
With your-
I'm Justin Callahan.
We are coming to you today with an episode from Florida where we are surviving another hurricane at the end of November.
It's honestly, Steve, I mean, it's just been a blur, right? I mean, October was quite literally bookended by two hurricanes. So it's been a little eventful. And so we thought, as opposed to seeing our wonderful faces, you'd like to see this tropical storm Nicole that is still spinning
It's our
around up
special
in North
guest.
Florida. Yeah, it is very true.
We're going to cover a major news item, I think, and then we kind of want to talk a little bit about some stuff that happens every year in November that we like to think about.
Yes, enough talk about hurricanes. Let's talk about tech deals and holiday shopping.
So before that, we did want to use this opportunity to tell everyone about the new guidelines coming out of the government. There's a new acronym for us to learn.
It's an acronym. It's a mouthful for sure, right? It is CPG, which is Cybersecurity Performance Goals. And it's actually being referenced by the government as cross-sector cybersecurity performance goals.
Well, and these are targeted towards, small, medium businesses, right? This is really something they're looking to make very broad appeal to, right?
Right. And I think that cannot be understated or underappreciated. This is very much intended to speak to, very small organizations, maybe, even just a few handful of people. And while it is obviously focused on critical infrastructure, let's say your tiny, 10-person organization that's running a power utility out in the Midwest, this is a perfect baseline, a perfect, easy to understand, easy to interact with a set of guidelines for any small to medium business, really.
So who came up with this? I mean, it wasn't just the government that, spit this out, right? They did have some help, right?
They did have some help and answered a number of organizations. This was, spearheaded by CISA, which is the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency, which, again, another mouthful. But they partnered with the National Institute of Standards and Technology, NIST. And both of these are, up and coming and very much a focus of cybersecurity, candidly, and kind of interacting with not just enterprises, not just large organizations, but just focusing on bringing this level of security awareness to, pretty much everyday organizations.
Well, I think that's it, because CISA's had established, cybersecurity practices, but they've been fairly kind of technical, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if you weren't necessarily an IT professional, and even sometimes even if you were an IT professional, it was somewhat daunting to look at some of their previous documentation and kind of parse through that and understand what you need to implement and candidly what's practical to implement. These cybersecurity performance goals, the CPGs, is very much actually using one of Steve's favorite features, but the 80-20 rule, right? Where they're saying that if you follow these guidelines, you're basically, or you're protecting yourself against 80% of the threats and attack vectors that are out there. And then it, drastically reduces your chance for being compromised, for being, encountering downtime or data loss or any of those things that you always hear people, worrying about, or things that make the news.
Now, I understand that unlike something like HIPAA, where there's actually federal repercussions for not following them, a medical entity, a doctor's office, a hospital, they can be fined literally tens of thousands of dollars a day for violating, HIPAA protocol. Is that applying to these CPGs?
I guess you could say fortunately or unfortunately, no. These are absolutely just recommendations. But it's also interesting to see that the government is setting these guidelines and kind of, I would almost say, it feels like they're testing the waters, right? It might start with a recommendation, but then that might evolve into, okay, well, if you want to be CPG certified, be able to say that your business is CPG certified for maybe cybersecurity insurance or something of the like, you might have to follow these guidelines in order to have access or a certification or something like that.
Well, and we've talked about this, in previous discussions and videos, but certainly, there's an escalation of cybersecurity awareness. There's an escalation of you know getting the message out about the importance of making it part of your practice, your policies, your discipline as a business owner or a business entity to make sure you're doing something to protect yourselves. And like you said early in the conversation about critical infrastructure, you're absolutely right. There's a lot of small medium companies that play a role in power grids or water pumps or public
Mhm.
safety, and any of them getting vulnerable is a direct exposure to a larger entity they might be working with. This is what I think CPGs are about, is putting something together in, if you will, layman's terms to say this is what you should be doing. So taking the complexity of a CISA or an NIST and then putting it in language that a smaller entity could understand to execute, right?
Absolutely. This kind of gives you that you don't have to be technically familiar to, but you can still look at this checklist. You can look at these guidelines and, okay, I understand what that means in layman's terms. And then you can bring that conversation to the table. You can bring that to your MSP. You can bring it to any vendor that you're interacting with, right? There's that ability to have some measure of feeling of control when you're having these conversations, as opposed to just having to defer to the other party. I mean, one might almost say that this is kind of like a hurricane checklist, right? Where you're preparing for bad weather, but bumps. And
Nice.
but while there's guidelines and there's recommendations, but yeah, be wary of anyone who says that they're hurricane certified, right? That's not the thing.
Exactly. Well, before you blow me away with your puns, why don't we breeze
Yes.
into some deals? How about that?
Let's go. Let's talk about some deals. I know it doesn't necessarily feel like the holidays yet, but deals for especially technology have really kind of started to pop up in a big way. I know there's one that you've been talking about for a couple of weeks now, haven't you?
Well, yes, we definitely I guess it's been about a month ago. There was a hot deal for the Samsung Frame TV, and we were very excited to jump on that deal and get one for the office. It's great because it's a very low profile screen that can mount to the wall, and it's designed to also have this kind of matte effect. So for your signage,
Mhm.
reducing glare, making it look like almost artwork on the wall.
Well, isn't that kind of the distinction between this and just your run of the mill Samsung television or something, right? Like this is designed to be a centerpiece in your office or your home space, right?
Yeah, it literally sits just as flat as a painting on a wall. That's how it's designed to sit, and you might wonder how do they pull that off with technology, right? And they do it with a control box. So if there's something the buyer needs to understand is they basically have taken all the tech out of the TV, and what you're effectively hanging on the wall is a screen. Then there's almost fiber optic looking cable that goes down to this control box, which is not small. It's probably about 9 by 12, and that box
Okay.
is where all the all the guts and circuitry and feeds power and video signals back to the screen.
Well,
Yeah.
that sounds exciting, and hopefully can't wait to show a little bit more of that because it's a pretty cool piece of tech. So
Yes,
it was actually quite a deal, right?
it was. So we got the 55 inch for under $1,000, which it was really the best price it had been at all ever. Um, it's not there now. So if you're, watching or listening to this, unfortunately, you're not going to see that deal right now. But, we do have Black Friday coming up and more holiday deals. So I wouldn't say it's impossible to see that, but hopefully some people out there hear this and see our inset video. And it would definitely be a good addition, I think, to any office or home space for sure.
Well, then, in addition to that, I know we also have a few um, regular deals that are kind of our recommendations on an annual basis. Things that might be consumable or iterative. You have to usually buy one every year or so. Um, and so we definitely wanted to make sure that we mentioned that. Um, this kind of applies to pretty much any kind of technology, accessories that you might have a need for, like battery backups to keep your technology on during certain hurricanes, little USB drives or external storage. All of those things are great items to be looking out for during Black Friday or holiday deals. They'll usually go to their lowest price of the year. And those are things that you might, if you need one of those this year, definitely an opportunity to pick up.
And that's why we wanted to kind of do a little extended time on a holiday deal, since we're getting this, we're going to have this out and posted on our channel here very soon, so people can hopefully check it out before they go shopping. But there are some good deals for tech coming up, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I know that we both have a few of our favorites in particular. So you want to kick us off with that?
Yeah, for sure. I know one that I got to their website early, and when I was checking it out, there was like, come back later and check. So I knew I was too, it was November 1st. I didn't think, I was in the stores and everybody's got Christmas stuff out November 1st. I think, okay, the deal should be online. No, it's a little early, but just this week they actually started sending out their emails, and that's Microsoft. The Microsoft store is doing some holiday deals and getting ready for the big shopping weeks that are ahead of us. And what I wanted to point out was that they've got some great deals for low cost laptops. If you're in the market for a gift for somebody, they've got two super deals. And I can't believe this. Before we came in to record, I want to say that there was another Lenovo on here that was not out of stock. It looks like it's just gone out of stock on this stuff. So these deals are going quick, but I actually have a 10-inch tablet, touchscreen Lenovo IdeaPad, Celeron processor, 4 gigs of memory, $149. That is
And
pretty sweet.
and that's a huge deal, honestly, right? Because there's been, slim pickings, if you say, we'll say, pretty much since 2020 and the kind of when the pandemic kicked up, when everyone just needed a laptop to get through. So I think this is the first time we've seen some decent deals on some computers where you don't have to just pick whatever's available. You can actually say, oh, okay, I have a need for this kind of specs, this kind of features, and I still want to get, a discount or a deal here. And especially these we saw, at Microsoft, there was ones that were kind of the whole gamut of different functionalities and need, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. And this Celeron here at 149 is going to be good for basically doing your web mail, catching up on your blog articles, maybe doing some cloud applications. You're not going to do anything overly fancy in terms of, gaming or, software on it, but it's going to be great for that kind of daily, just kind of light use. But then one next to it, which again was in stock before we started today, and is now out of stock, which just blows me away, is the 14-inch IdeaPad with an i5, 8 gigs of memory, and a 256 gig SSD for $499. I mean,
Which
how
is,
do you beat that?
that's a great deal. That is a very good deal. We haven't seen that in quite some time. And then on
That
top of all this too, like I think you showed it just at the beginning there with the Microsoft splash page, but a lot of these companies are still competing with the offers for price matching if they end up showing a better deal throughout the holiday season, usually up to Christmas Eve. But then they're also offering free returns all the way through January, which is
Yep.
just, I mean, that's great. I mean, that gives you that comfort that you can, you could, if you see a deal, you can buy it before it goes out of stock, like we just saw. And then if you end up finding a better deal or that's not what your need is, you can always return it. There's kind of that flexibility and that power to the purchaser right now for sure.
And watch out for financing options. I mean, Microsoft's doing that as well with 0% APR.
Very true.
Yeah.
Very true.
So you had something for us to talk about too?
Yeah, so kind of keeping the tech companies, they're definitely showing some heavy deals this year, and I'm not sure if it's just a good mixture of there's this increase in stock, but with the economy kind of slowing down a little bit, they're just wanting to incentivize as best as they can. But Google has definitely been showing some solid deals in a big way, especially for upgrading to any of their existing tech to their new tech. The two big ones there is that this year they have finally come out with the trio, as it will, where you can get a phone, the Pixel 7, 7 Pro, the smartwatch, and the Pixel Buds. So you get your earbuds, your watch, and your phone. They've been offering a lot of deals if you're trading up from an old Pixel, any other phones. And they're even doing, some offers for their own super fans. For example, I have that opportunity as well, where you can use a Superfans promo and get an extra $100 credit for the Google Store. So I'm sure we'll post that up here if we have any Pixel fans out there. But definitely a good opportunity to use. And really, their idea is that they're pushing very hard. The Pixel 7 has been definitely a long time coming of a refinement of their top of the line phone. And I think they're aggressively showing that. There's a lot of ads. There's a lot of promotions of the unique features of the Pixel, and it's pretty exciting. And then they also have some deals not to leave out the rest of their Nest devices. They've just come up with their Nest Wi-Fi Pro, which is starting the cusp of the Wi-Fi 6E, which is the next evolution of Wi-Fi. And again, they're offering discounts to, hey, if you've had the Wi-Fi beforehand, you can do an upgrade and at a discounted rate. So there's some very interesting deals from Google, I'll say for sure, especially if you're in that ecosystem.
No, I know a couple people that actually had older like Pixel 3s and they were able to move up to that 7 and those trade-in incentives were crazy. So you're basically getting a new 7 and I think they were at that time were doing buds with it, you were talking about. And
Right.
it was like just over $100 basically. New phone, new earbuds, and you can't beat that.
You can't beat that, especially if you're currently running on a 4-year-old phone. I mean, it makes sense, and it's great though. Honestly, is that it's been a challenging time, the past couple of years to upgrade your phone. There's not been these kinds of offers, and so taking advantage of that when they're here, definitely a good option.
Well, there's
So what
one
do you have
more I
next
wanted to
for
touch
us?
on along those same lines. I think competing head to head with Google, Apple, and is Samsung right up there with them. Uh, and
Right.
and I will mention I tried to find some deals for Apple, but I don't think Apple's doing much on deals. They're just like, look, you're going to buy our product, you're going to buy our product. But you can expect some deals from Samsung. So they're counting down. Just for those to know, November 11th is basically the early access for the deals, and then they go open to the general public on November 18th. But as you can see from the screen, you can expect some good deals on the Samsung Fold and Flip 4 phones, which is the latest model. And I'm using the Flip 3, and I have to say I love it. The Samsung Galaxy Buds and their Samsung Watch, and that's a new generation watch as well for them. So
And you're seeing that pattern, right, where like, okay, they're trying to get you into that bundle again, just probably keeping you in their ecosystem. But you get a phone and, oh, you get a watch really cheap too, or you get some buds really cheap as well, which is nice if you need them.
yep, and actually, I mean, I've only had my Flip 3 since last year because they were doing such crazy deals for Black Friday last year. That's how I got this Flip 3. So I'm going to watch this site and see. I don't know that they're going to trick me into a Flip 4, but I'm not going to rule it out.
Hey, I mean, if they do, and it's commendable, and I definitely give credit to Samsung and Google. Their phones, their devices they're staying the same price. We're seeing a lot of increases in inventory price increases for technology.
Hmm.
These are still staying very competitive pricing for these phones and for these accessories, and with these aggressive discounts or trade-in options. Like that's kind of the other opposite to Apple too, right? Not only is Apple not really doing any discounts for this year, but they just raised their price on their latest gen iPad. They raised it
Oh
over
yeah,
$100, and I mean
and
that's going to be
subscriptions too,
interesting.
and subscriptions. All their subscriptions went
And
up too.
absolutely, and so it might be this interesting situation where maybe Google and Samsung are pricing some really great deals on their tech, and people might take a pause at some of the Apple stuff that they were considering buying for this holidays. Never know.
It would be interesting to see. We'll have to come back on that one. I have a feeling we have a future episode on subscription stuff anyway.
Oh, I think that's a great idea. So so I've got one more. So this one
Okay.
is just a little bit more, manufacturer agnostic, if you will. But one of the things that I've been seeing pretty much across the board, in just the deal areas and these early Black Friday deals, but Wi-Fi routers. Wi-Fi 6E, which is the next evolution of routers, they've been making for a little while. It's not really become mainstream until just the past few months, with a large number of manufacturers, Netgear, Google, Amazon with their Eero brand, coming out finally with Wi-Fi 6E mesh devices, which honestly is going to be a significant upgrade, and it'll be interesting and exciting. There's already been a few deals in different places for these Wi-Fi 6E systems. But if you were waiting, if you still have a Wi-Fi 5 home network, this is definitely the thing to start looking and keeping an eye out for. Wi-Fi 6E is really just going to be, because it has that back channel that keeps the high speeds between all your mesh access points. This is really going to help bloom the usefulness of Wi-Fi mesh, and having a little router access point in different locations in your home or your business or wherever you're at.
I think we've been definitely moving a lot of customers to 6 this year, and I think this is the place to be as Wi-Fi just continues to be a growing space for everybody. More devices, more things connected. So getting those upgrades on good deal would definitely make sense this year. And we talk with our business clients about basically the expansion of bandwidth, right? The fact that 1 gig internet to your business is a reality in the next few years, if not sooner, and that's going to be true in the residents. And for the residents, that means 8K TV, 4K TV becomes the standard, and that's going to need more Wi-Fi speed, because right now you're running your TV on Wi-Fi, and you're running your consoles and, like you said, all the IoT things on it. So you're going to need that faster Wi-Fi 6.
Right, and there's a point, if it's not there already, that little single modem from Spectrum is just not going to cut it anymore. It's
Exactly.
but
All
definitely
right. Well,
something to look out
we
for.
gotta wrap up here, but I mean, it sounds like we've got an exciting shopping season ahead of us.
Definitely. And I think, while this is definitely the opportunity to get people informed before the deals come up, just definitely remember to be a savvy shopper, be responsible, keep an eye out on what deals are out there and what the guarantees for price matching and stuff. And hopefully, you'll get some technology that makes you excited for the holidays.
And for sure, if you come across a good deal you want to share with us, you can post a comment to this video or get in touch with us if it's something good. And be sure
Yeah.
to like, subscribe, and follow us on all the social media platforms. And best wishes and happy holiday shopping to everybody out there. And hopefully we're done with hurricanes for the year, right? Well, at least we haven't made the letter Z this year.
That's true. Always on the bright side.
All right. Well, once again, I'm Steve Williams. Thanks for watching and listening.
And I'm Justin Callahan. Thanks and have a wonderful day.